Hello there, and welcome to my first Game Dev in Progress diary. So, what the heck is this all about? This isn't Planet Coaster. What are you doing, Ms.RedNebula? I've been putting a lot of thought into this whole thing about, making these models for the Theme Maker's Toolkit and just having a lot of fun doing it, and what would be the next steps in taking that and doing something more with it. Well, a lot of gamers think about making games. I think that's probably universal. I mean, let me know in the comments if you don't think so, but ever since I started gaming, I've looked at them and gone, wouldn't it be amazing to make something like this happen? Between being an artist by trade, and I've also got some technical skills, some of which I learned in college, some I picked up on the job many years ago. I've done a lot of coding in HTML, done programming in PHP, JavaScript, I was doing Visual Basic there for a while. And so, thinking about moving into doing something that is a combination of both art and programming seems like a pretty good fit. And so for this first diary, it's really going to be mostly me following tutorials, at least for the moment, because I'm not a game dev, I'm a game dev in progress. Hence why I call this a game dev in progress diary. There's lots of people that do these diaries on these wonderful games that they're creating, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of fun to document the process of getting to the point where I can start working on my own games. And don't worry, Planet Coaster's not going away anytime soon. I still really enjoy the game, and I enjoy all the stuff that I'm working on with the Theme Maker's Toolkit and everything. I'm just one of those people that has to have about a dozen projects on the go at any given time, as my husband will attest to.
She does.
Anyhow, here's the stuff I've been working on. So the game engine of choice for me at the moment is Unity. It's free for personal use, and they've got paid versions that go up depending on how you use the program, but fortunately, if you're just looking to learn, you can download this for free and just check it out, try it out, play around with some tutorials, and just see what you can do with it. This is on the YouTube channel of a fellow called Brackus, and you've got one kind of stretched out long cube that you are moving along as the player. Your player character is a little cube, and you've got these obstacles that you've got to dodge along the way. You kind of shoot forward without any real control over that, but you do have side-to-side control with the A and D keys. And like so. So you just gotta dodge the cubes, and then the levels aren't exactly the longest thing going, but they do get harder as you go up. And of course, if you mess up, you get to restart the level, or if you crash into something, you get to restart the level. Let's see if I can make it through this time. There we go. That's the first game that I made, and again, I was just following a tutorial for this, so it's not maybe the most impressive thing in the world, but when you actually make a game that you can play for the first time, it's a really cool feeling, you know? This one's the second tutorial that I decided to give a shot to. This was one of the ones just on Unity's website, and so this is one of their recommended ones. It's just a simple roll the ball around the screen and grab the collectibles. It gives you a little count up in the corner and lets you know when you win. This is actually kind of a simpler game than the other one that I did, but it did teach me some new concepts, like moving the ball around in all different directions using the WAS and D keys, and can also use the arrow keys. So when you roll over a collectible, you grab it and the count of your score goes up. And this takes me a little bit because this thing's actually not so easy to control, so I guess that's part of the challenge of this particular game. Oh, almost. There we go. You win. Yay. Alright, so the third tutorial that I decided to give this a shot was literally a shot. This is a survival shooter game. I did not make any of the models for this. This is another one of the Unity tutorials. So the model for the character, the little beasties that are coming after him, and the bedroom and all of that are all made by them, so obviously full credit to them. They did a great job. This is an adorable little game, and frankly kind of horrifying because you're a little kid who's asleep and having a nightmare that all his toys have come to life and have decided to attack him, so he gets to fight back using his little rifle. They call this a beginner tutorial on their website, but this one was a bit of a challenge. It's also the first time that I ran across a tutorial that, I've got some critiques on, because they make it so that a lot of the time they have the coding already there for you, and you're kind of just following along as they explain which parts of the code do what. And that's all well and good, and I get it, because this was being done in front of a live audience. They only had so much time. So pacing on it was pretty good, and I did learn a lot watching them do everything that they were doing with all of the code and stuff. But it still would have been kind of nice. I feel like it's easier to commit things to memory if you're the one actually writing them down or typing them. It just gives your brain something a little more to focus on rather than just listening to somebody talk about them. But still, this is getting pretty complex, I'd say. As you've got the gun is actually shooting, you've got all of the characters that are happening in different spawn points moving towards you. There's 3 different types of enemies here. Let me just start up the game. And this one doesn't have any kind of win conditions or anything like that. This is just, you keep shooting things until you eventually get overwhelmed and die horribly. So, little character, he moves around, runs around, and there are things that decide to come and try to get him. Alright, I'm moving him around with the WASD keys. The way he's facing is dependent upon where the mouse is on the floor. This one's got an isometric camera, so everything's done in that really cool style of, there's no real perspective. And the enemies just keep coming. I mean, come on, I might not have made any of these individual bits, but that gun firing was my work, and making him move around was my work, and all of that. And got the health bar down there in the corner, and they showed us how to put that together. I guess it's probably about time I should let the poor little kid get overwhelmed here, because there's just things, and they're not going to stop coming, are they? Okay. Oh no, he's going to die. Poor kid. And then it just starts over again, which, let's not. So that's the little survival shooter. Again, if you want to try out that tutorial, it's over there on Unity's website, and it was a blast, let me tell you. Again, no pun intended. So here's the current tutorial that I'm working on, and in fact I am still working on because this is a big one. This is, again, back on Brachus's YouTube channel. He does some really good tutorials, and I saw this one and I'm like, this is gonna be fun. Again, I didn't make any of these assets, although I am making one of the assets for the character themselves, which I'll show you guys in just a second. This tutorial was actually a team up between Brachus and another YouTuber called Sebastian Legg. So I believe that Sebastian was the one that made all of the background objects that you see here. He also does have a character model for if you're not interested in the modeling side of things. He's got up on his channel where you can learn to create the character model for the player character, and as well as how to do the animations and how to bring those into Unity. So haven't really gotten super far on this one just yet. I've just got the camera movement and the character movement. So this one's done in a style where you click somewhere on the map and the character just goes there. So this one involves a thing called a nav mesh, which means that the character can move over a more complex plane like this. See, when he's going kind of up and down hills, he can't go in the water, and he will avoid obstacles like the campfire. So like if I click over here, he'll actually cross over the bridge to get to the point that I clicked on. This one's got the cameras following him, and you also have the ability to zoom in and zoom out with the mouse wheel. And there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff in this one in addition to just the character moving around. There's going to be equipable items, inventory system, monsters that you can fight, and all sorts. So I'm really excited to do the rest of this one. I think that there's going to be a lot of valuable stuff that I'll learn from it, in addition to being able to import a character in from Blender and actually have them moving around properly on the screen. So this is going to be it for probably at least the next week. I'll be working on this one. And this is Sebastian Legg's half of the tutorial, which is talking about creating an actual character for it. I was following his tutorial pretty much lockstep for creating this guy, but I think I've said a couple of times that I'm not really feeling that confident with creating human characters for Planet Coaster yet. Let me tell you, I think that might be kind of close to changing. Not sure, this guy isn't perfect or anything, but he is a very nice low poly model that could be used as a basis for a few things. And obviously I'm going to make some tweaks to put my own spin on it. This is very much following exactly along with what Sebastian was doing on his channel, but I've got the full walk cycle working for him. Again, ignore his butt. He has a very poorly done butt. But otherwise, that's not too bad for my first walk cycle, I'd say. He's also got this very simple idle cycle. All it really is he's kind of just breathing and his arms are moving a little bit. And finally, a run cycle. So like I said, pretty soon I'm going to be pulling these into the tutorial that I just showed you guys and having the character actually moving around in the scene. So I think that's going to be really amazing to see come to life. This is also the first time that I've been able to do a kinematic rig and use some inverse kinematics for like the leg bones and things like that. I've been experimenting with trying out some of this stuff in Planet Coaster and it does work, but unfortunately the number of bones required to rig a full model like this is a bit greater than we can really do in Planet Coaster at this time. Like we're limited to 18 bones and there are 33 in this rig. Which is unfortunate, but you know, limitations are how you kind of like get creative to get around things. Alright, so there's just one more thing. I said I'm mostly following tutorials, and when I say mostly, I mean, of course I'm experimenting with trying to do some of my own stuff too. So this is my first little experiment. It's not going to look like much, but there's a lot of concepts I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around and see if I can make something happen that's a bit different from the things that I'm just following along with. All I got for this so far is a little pinball game kind of thing, some pieces that are going to be working towards that. And of course, when the game is actually working properly, the ball rolls back down towards the player here. For the moment, I've got it set up so that I can just move the ball around with the WASD keys, and as you notice, the A key is also affecting that little flipper down there. The flipper does exactly what you'd expect it to do, and that guy right there is a bumper. Whatever angle you hit the bumper from, it repels you in that direction. So I thought that was kind of fun. Like I said, it's not a lot so far, but here's hoping it will be more soon. So that's it for this one. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe to follow along, and check out my Patreon for sneak peeks and other perks, and a big thank you to my current patrons. That's all for now. Bye!